the farm-heavy mid laners that Gragas, the Ziggs are still available, and both Froggen and Peke have also picked up Orianna multiple times in the past. Remember last week, both of Alliance's games had a Karthus banned out against them, and Alliance did not play Karthus. It was something they talked about. We'll have to see if it makes it through. This Lulu, it could be support when you consider all of the bans, but it could also be a Lulu mid for Froggen.
And who knows if that Lulu's going to make its way to the top lane. We've been scouting around some of the solo Q picks and things like that, and we have seen a bit of Lulu venturing in there. We'll see about that thing, though, as things move on. Question is now, what are Fnatic going to go by? And I suppose that Lulu idea as well, Trundle was the last ban in there, obviously aimed at Wicked. Who knows if he's been trying to broaden his pool. He brought out Irelia again just a week ago.
So this is the question that we had internally, is whether or not we're going to see more Irelia play from Wicked. Zaz has pulled out Jax for the first time in Europe last week, and when you consider that there was a change to the Perseverance Mastery, we're theorizing we're less likely to see Dr. Mundo as well, based on that. Shyvana is still up. There's also something Wicked has played, and with Soas having locked in Renekton, it does mean Wicked's going to be forced to make a choice now, going for the likes of that Mundo, Shyvana, or more likely, Irelia.
And I have to say, Karthus, it's been banned regularly against Alliance in their last few games. Froggen has been playing that in a lot of scrims and what have you, so not really surprised to see him maybe pull that one out there. So what are they going to add in on top of that one here? Or will he even change away from that one and go a different direction for now?
So I want to touch on the fact that the junglers that are still available, Elise was banned out. Elise still a highly touted jungler in Europe, but we're tending to see the junglers that are very successful going on the likes of Pantheon more likely, more than any other champion. Pantheon via Wukong still up, and it's also something that both Cyanide and Shook play.
Well, let's see. Irelia is there right now. Wicked, as we said, did bring her back to the table. That was against SK Gaming. Had a fine performance with her as well. 3-1-11 by the end of that game. And as you said, Wukong for Shook, possibly. And it will be Wukong for Shook. And he actually, funnily enough, played that in the exact same game where he finished 4-4-8 in the jungle against SK Gaming just last week. So Lulu, Irelia, Wukong, the 3 picks for Alliance. What are Fnatic going to go with? They've got their top laner, they've got their AD carry.
I would imagine that now they would lock in the likes of their support as well as their jungler. I think, knowing Fnatic, they tend to want to leave their mid lane pick for a potential counter. We've seen Peke, he likes to run counter picks. He ran a Fizz into Alex's Zed recently. If they wanted to play it safe, they could go for the likes of a Gragas or a Ziggs or an Orianna now and not reveal their sort of engage strategy. Yellowstar has been forced onto the likes of Lulu, potentially, Leona, if he wants to run his comfort champions. Alternatively, he may have to pick up something like a Karma, who is still up. It's something we've seen in that support role before.
Oh, we're going to see that Pantheon locked in here. We actually saw Pantheon played by Fnatic for the first time last week in that crushing defeat to the Copenhagen Wolves. And that will be locked in here for Cyanide in the mid lane. As you said before, Orianna will be the choice for XPK.
So safe pick. They've left their support champion till last, and I think this could be because Fnatic want to decide whether or not they want to run the Leona. If that's going to be AP Lulu middle, Nif could run a support Morgana, which would counter a very hard engage from the likes of Leona. It's something we've seen many, many times. So Fnatic leaving their support engaged champion, so to speak, to last is quite smart. The strength of Pantheon's ganks with the global presence that he can offer is very, very good. Grand Skyfall is great at controlling mid-game. You can gank and you can counter-gank very effectively.
What will Alliance finish off with here? At the moment, it does look like that Lulu will be going in to the support role, unless, of course, Nif picks for himself here, and that Lulu goes into the hands of Froggen in the mid lane. But Sivir to come into this lineup, that's a lot of dive straight in there, I guess we could say, from this company, will be that Froggen locking in the Karthus that we've seen banned away from him so much.
So we will see how Froggen can perform on Karthus this split. We've seen it over in North America, being fairly successful. Quaz even landed in the top lane for Curse. What this does signal from Alliance's composition is they've got strong individual champions that if they engage well, a Cyclone in conjunction with Karthus, you can keep everyone on Defile, and then you throw the Wild Growth down, knocks people up, slows them in that area, it'll work quite effectively. But it does, in my mind, leave Alliance to a little bit of a 5v5. They're not necessarily super strong in smaller skirmishes because of the fact that their team cohesion works very well with all their ultimates.
And interesting over with Fnatic there, we saw in our pre-game show the fact that CLG last week ran such a great combo with Orianna and Alistar, with Link and Afromu just pulling up the goods every single time with that. We'll see Fnatic can do that here today. They've been lacking a little bit in terms of team synergy. They've said themselves, in fact, the funny thing is most of the players are saying different things as to why Fnatic aren't doing well right now, and I'm interested to see if we see more of that here today.
The biggest thing about that Alistar lock-in on the side of Fnatic is it just signals a very passive lane. Alistar Lucian, yes, that you do have the potential for a knocker, but it's going to take a long time before they can put any sort of kill pressure on that Lulu, who's so great at the shield and the glitter launch to slow.
Well, let's crunch the numbers to see how you guys at home voted on this one over at lolesports.com. Looks like 65% of you went with Fnatic to break their slide. Fnatic constantly, throughout this losing streak, have still been voted by the fans at home as favourites. Is it going to work out for them today? I'm
really not 100% sure. I think in order for Fnatic to win this game, a lot of the mid to late game is going to be determined by how effective Cyanide can be on Pantheon. I think both teams have got very good synergy in team fights. Both teams can do well in lane, but they'll do different jobs. But I feel like the power of that Grand Skyfall is going to be slightly more effective than Wukong's Cyclone in the opening minutes.
Well, we are going to be getting into game here. We'll see if Fnatic can break that losing streak, and whether Alliance can pick up a win on an odd-numbered week. We'll find that out here in just a moment as Alliance take on Fnatic, and we get in game, and how are we going to see all this one building off? Do we see any kind of lane swaps coming in with that Irelia in there, or will Wicked be happy to go up against Soaz and vice versa? I actually think Wicked will be quite happy to go up against Soaz. I think the opening levels will be a little bit difficult against Renekton, but thanks to the sustain that Irelia is going to get from her ultimate in the later stages, she should be able to deal with Renekton. In addition, the damage component that she can put down with Wukong gives them quite a kill threat on Fnatic. This is the first time we're seeing Fnatic group up and sort of invade in a long time. It's not that standard cover all the entrances start to the game. And I really like that Fnatic do something a little bit different here at the start, because as they said, it kind of snowballed against them. They lost the game against Gambit where they said, all right, Gambit played better than us. Then it got out of hand. And they need to maybe change something in the game, and they're planning to really refresh themselves. I think they're not wrong in what they said, that when the first win comes, they're going to get back into a much more comfortable rotation and how they play the game and feeling a lot more confident. It's going to take a lot for them to grab themselves a lead now. I think Fnatic are in a bit of a time bomb. Irelia and Karthus are going to scale very, very well when you get late into the later stages of this game. And I think Fnatic need to try to disrupt that and prevent Alliance getting into a slow farmy start. You mentioned whether or not Wicked was going to go for a lane swap. And I'm not really anticipating it, but this may be a low-level kill threat. Glitter Lance is very strong at the low levels, and Irelia does have that true damage. I haven't seen what he's skilled just yet. Nothing at the moment. I mean, he could go for a slow, so a little bit of a death gank early on. Oh, we'll see that. Jungler on Fnatic side. Cyanide playing Pantheon this time around. Starts off with his blue. That's going to bring Yellow Star and Reckless a little bit later down into this lane. Yeah, they're going to walk straight into Wicked. Yellow Star's the target. Oh, Yellow Star is going to get focused. Can they finish him off with this one? He does, of course, have the flash available. And honestly, Alliance just didn't have the damage there. No, they didn't have the damage or the hard CC. So they tried to make it work. Wicked uses a very early teleport to jump into lane. He's a tiny bit of experience here behind Soaz, which should allow Soaz to get a quick level 2 and hopefully jump onto Wicked. We'll see if it works out for him. Froggen's burned through all of his mana for low-level harass and hasn't necessarily got a lot for it. No, he's forced a few, or at least one pot there, I can say, out of Xpeke. Another thing to mention, Froggen running with that Ignite here. I was actually talking to him last week with Deficio, actually, after the show, and he said, if I get this card, I'd love to run the Ignite on him and just go all in whenever I can. It's going to be very difficult to go all in on the Orianna, who can farm from a fairly long range, and thanks to that command attack, she can leave her ball further down the lane, making it difficult for Froggen's Karthus to actually get in range and shut him down. So we'll see how Froggen plays this one out. He's got a lot of his mana back, so he's at least using that passive in the Doran's Ring, but unfortunately, burning through all that mana didn't give him any sort of lane advantage right now. No, Peke's still very healthy from that one. Did use both of his pots in those early stages, though. But if we look down on the bottom lane, we can see that Alliance have already pushed things up. That harassment coming out constantly from Sivir and Lulu got Yellowstar down to less than half HP. Obviously, his heal not going to be massively effective at this point, but at least some sustain in that lane.
Yeah, and it's going to actually benefit Fnatic in the long run. If Reckless and Yellowstar can extend this laning phase and not lose too much CS to Tabs' very fast-pushing Sivir, they should be able to get themselves into a safer mid-game. And when you look at the lanes, you've got Irelia versus Renekton top, you've got Karthus versus Orianna middle, and Lulu and Alistar as your supports in the bottom lane. It's actually quite reminiscent of last year, where you had these similar, slower, extended laning phase champions that can, you know, be happy farming themselves into the mid to late game.
Well, one champion that's really come to fruition and been successful this year is that Pantheon there. We've seen it time and time again working out, and Cyanide is working his way down. He's not been spotted. Does
have his double buff still available. Tabs has got the spell shield, and Nif is going to be able to throw that a damage shield on himself. If Nif gets caught out, this could be a kill threat. The question is, where does the CC come from? It's Yellowstar.
Here we go. It is going to be the Pulverize coming in first. Where's the headbutt? Nif actually flashed behind him. There is the headbutt coming out. Nif in all kinds of trouble. Cyanide picks it up with the spear.
I'm so happy to see Cyanide make that gank work. What was even better is he managed to land the stun after Nif flashed. He was waiting for Nif to use that flash, and as soon as the summoner spell was used to throw him over Pantheon, Cyanide locked him down. So Fnatic, with a lot of hard CC, they grab themselves first blood. It also goes onto a very gank-heavy jungler. I want to see where Cyanide spends his money. We have seen him go for mobility boots in the past. He may not need or want them at Pantheon thanks to his ultimate, though.
Incredible stuff there. And Yellowstar himself, I thought he was going to go in with a full headbutt pulverize combo. Actually decided to flash onto him to get the pulverize and keep that headbutt for after. Very, very calm play by Fnatic in that one, showing that they might be on a 0-7 losing streak right now, which is definitely demoralizing, but they're still calm in their approach to this early game.
What Alliance did wrong was not warding up that tri-bush. They were very overextended 5 minutes in. They should have been aware that Cyanide was going to be in and around level 3 or 4 and could potentially have ganked. I think they played a little brazen there. They should have backed off and played safer. What it does mean is, thanks to a little bit of a respite, Reckless can make up that small CS lead that he was falling behind, thanks to that pressure Wicked applied. But remember, because Wicked did that level 1 fight, he then burned his teleport, and he's 20 CS down Renekton. Renekton already has a stronger laning phase in these early minutes, and Soaz is playing it very well right now.
And I have to say, for Soaz, more than I think any of the other Fnatic members, a win would do so much for his confidence. We saw in that last video how much this 0-7 run is really affecting him right now. I've heard it from him after the show as well, that he's just not in a happy place at this point of things. However, he might be in a little bit of danger here.
I don't know if there's enough CC, though. This is my concern. Wicked does hit just 6. Shook doesn't have his Cyclone, so we'll see how Soaz plays. He's also got Flash and Dominus available, so we'll see how the fight breaks out if it does. But you can see Shook backing away. I think they calculated. Now Wicked's in trouble.
Yeah, Wicked actually being pushed onto there by Soaz. Soaz taking a little bit too much, though, from the turret. They've seen Cyanide there in the tri-bush because of that ward. Shook did just start to come around from that. He's also spotted by the ward that Cyanide just put down after that one. And in the end, Ignite used up on the top side by Soaz. Not really a lot more gained.
No, not too much right now. I think Fnatic have got themselves some good wins in this early game, thanks to the fact that Renekton is able to bully Irelia around. It's going to delay that power spike that Wicked will be looking for. If you remember the last time we played Irelia, he bought himself a Trinity Force on his first back. He's not going to be allowed to farm that much and survive that long without Soaz getting in his face. And thanks to Cyanide's gank bottom, Reckless has got himself a small CS lead, but very importantly, he's made up that 10 CS deficit from earlier on.
And in the mid lane, we just saw that Karthus was given that blue buff, and we know how effective the Karthus can be at taking the big objectives, mainly that Dragon and the Baron, with a blue buff especially on him there, just spamming all day long with his lay waste and that Defile on. But up until now, he's just going to back off, because he's not actually been back to buy here up until now. When he comes back, Tia and that Catalyst, the Protector coming in, he's going to get that Tia stacking and move up to the Rod of Ages.
Now this is a very big warning sign for Fnatic. The fact that both of those items don't offer anything in the way of aggressive statistics. You get a little bit of HP from that Catalyst, and Tia's going to need time to stack before he can eventually upgrade it to become ability power. Alliance want a long laning phase. Alliance are banking on this game going late. So what that means is Alliance cannot afford to give up too many kills, dragons, or towers in the next 10 to 15 minutes while Froggen is still scaling up.
So if a team's, you know, got anyone in it that can do that kind of thing, it would be Frog, and we've seen that time and time again over his career where he's played these champions that he's just quite happy to sit defensively most of the time in the lane and farm himself up a storm. We should mention that he's past that level 6 now, so we do have the Requiem available if things get a little bit dangerous over on other lanes.
Yeah, we've always got to remember that Requiem. And when you combo it with the damage of Irelia or Wukong, there is kill potential on that one. As it stands, Wicked's gone tanky first, not going for that Trinity Force from the previous time we've seen him. We are 9 minutes into the game. It is on patch 4.2 in case anybody missed it. So that means the middle and top towers no longer have that 20 damage reduction from champions. It was infinite on the previous patch. It was fixed. It's only meant to be for 8 minutes long. What that means is if anybody backs away at the wrong time, because we're getting later in, these towers could drop very quickly.
And we'll see about that one in the bottom lane. Shookers, well, I was going to say snuck in there, but he would have if it weren't for the fact that there's actually a ward in that brush, which he's now stood right on top of. I think he realized that one as Fnatic started to just back away a little bit from that middle of the lane in the bottom side, and well, they shouldn't be under too much pressure here. Shook is simply going to go back, and because of that Cyanide just waiting within reach of that Grand Skyfall to join in on that bottom lane should Shook actually get involved. In the end, they back off, Cyanide backs off, and we're all back to even.
Yeah, once again, it's just a slower extended laning phase. Fnatic, with the first gank that was about 5 minutes ago working in their favor, we haven't seen Cyanide in a lane since then. He tried something top, couldn't find an opportunity. He is being out-farmed by Shook right now. Shook, yes, he tried a gank a moment ago, but he's got himself up to 50 CS. He's got the makings of that Elder Lizard, so he's going to try and hit, say, a damage spike earlier. Once again, top lane's going at it.
Yeah, Wicked actually running out of mana from this one. This is what we said last week when we saw it again, that Irelia has this innate problem of you can get in there, do decent damage, but you can't do it constantly. You use your mana pool very, very quickly. And as long as Soaz keeps getting in Wicked's face, Wicked is forced to use his abilities, and we'll see how he handles it. We do see Shook coming in from behind. Pekka's in trouble. Oh, Pekka is in trouble. There is a decoy in the Cyclone, going to catch up Pekka. Shook with flashed away from. What a flash from Froggen. They pick up a kill. That was so well timed. Froggen did lose a lot of health. So they've secured the kill. Nobody's died. Brilliant play from Alliance.
I cannot believe Froggen flashed forward. I seen the flash particle and my brain looked backwards. I didn't see him going into Pekka's face. Now Froggen's in trouble from the man drop.
Oh, the man drop coming in, but Shook's there. Can they hold him down? Cyanide gets through. Froggen is going to die. Yes, he is, but Cyanide's going with him.
That is definitely worth it. Froggen getting himself 2 kills on the board, and that's on a champion that wants as much gold as quickly as possible. He's now already completed his Rod of Ages. It's going to take about 10 minutes to stack fully, and then he can start working towards that Archangel Star for his tier. That's a very, very good play that is in favor of Alliance.
One thing that might be a little bit worrying here, though, for Alliance is that top lane still behind by a considerable amount, and Wicked's had to build that Warden's mail in fairly early on into this one. You mentioned it earlier that last time we saw him, he farmed up a Storm and actually bought Trinity Force outright on his first trip back, teleported in and then almost got a kill. This time, that's not quite going to be there for him. Shook's taking a lot of damage in the middle from Pekka.
That's actually quite calculated from Shook. He took a lot of damage, but he wanted to go back. He has two assists on his name. He knew the shockwave was down, and you can see Froggen making an arrange for the next wave. So quite smart play from Shook to maximize his time in lane. The one thing I do want to touch on, you just mentioned Wicked and his items. Now we're getting to the point that Irelia is going to start getting more power and more sustain. Fnatic, they've started themselves off an early dragon. I don't think Alliance are going to challenge for this one, and Fnatic pick it up quite easily.
Yeah, actually the boomerang coming across from Tabs only served to help Fnatic with that one, and that was the danger of Shook. He said he wanted to move back, but Fnatic, you have to give him the credit there. They saw that Shook had gone back in that one. They realized there's no jungler around for the dragon. That's an easy pickup for them.
Now, that's also very positive for Fnatic. The last time they faced off against Alliance, Fnatic only got 1 of the 5 dragons in the game, and it was completely controlled by Alliance. Alliance were on the red side that matchup, and they had vision. They were always there to fight Fnatic, and Alliance won many of those engages. The real test for Fnatic will be the next dragon fight, when Alliance will have the rough timing on it, and I'm anticipating them moving into challenge or pick a fight, because they've actually got a very good team in those confined spaces. If Karthus and Wukong get on multiple members of Fnatic and you throw Wild Growth down as well, that's a lot of AoE damage that Fnatic can't necessarily deal with right now.
Okay, and then just getting himself that blue buff as well. He's still ahead in that mid lane here. Down the bottom, Reckless in a bit of danger. Are they going to go into him? Ultimate pop there, but there is the CC power of the cow. And there is the culling to keep them back as well. They've done well. The Requiem, whoa, whoa! I didn't think it was going to be enough to actually finish him off there. Shook actually killed Peke as well. There was Cyanide to lock them up. I honestly didn't expect that the Requiem was going to finish that off.
And neither did Reckless. He completely underestimated that early Rod of Ages and ability power that Froggen has. He didn't use his barrier. It was there. But Reckless said, yeah, it's level 1 Requiem, I'm going to be fine. It was level 2 Requiem, actually. Froggen is a level. Now we do see Yellow Star. He actually saved Reckless early on. He's going to flash away. Not in range for Ignite, so Yellow Star gets away.
He's trying his best there to finish things off. Didn't have much mana, and whilst they may have not picked up that second kill there in the bottom lane, they've taken out the first turret of the game. That puts them now just 300 gold in the lead as Wicked doing some good damage to Soaz. Does have his Dominus still available with the Flash and the Ignite, and Wicked quite happy to let him get away there. He's bullied him out of the lane somewhat, and he'll be happy to get that farm back, something that he's struggled with up until now against Soaz as Renekton.
And I think now is the time when Shook needs to come and help Wicked. Wicked's going to find Soaz, Dominus and Ignite to their Soaz. Decides not to go for it. I just quickly checked rewinding on the PC, and Froggen was level 11 when he threw down the Requiem, and with the base damage of 400, it was more than Reckless's life. So even with his MR to reduce it, the additional AP was more than enough to grab the kill. A little bit unfortunate for Reckless. Summoner spell could have saved his life.
Yeah, Barrier would have got him through that one, as we are going to see actually Soaz pressured here. We've got Lulu, we've got Siva, both coming up towards his top lane. Are we going to see them come down from it? Nick getting into range from this one. He's going to land the Glitzer land. Soaz going very low. He flashes towards the back of the turret. Tab picks it up at range. Actually, the man drop was cancelled there in the end from Cyanide. He didn't want to get involved.
Now, Alliance with better rotations. They've thrown Tabs and Nif to the top lane after they grabbed that tower in the bottom. We talked about how Wicked needed a little bit of help just to make up that strength difference between Irelia and Renekton. It came in the form of their AD carry and duo. Thanks to the kill that they secured, they can also grab that second tower. And we highlighted the fact that damage reduction is gone now in 4.2, and that is 2 very quick towers back-to-back for Alliance.
Very, very nice pickup from them, and Wicked building up that Trinity Force nicely now after that early Warden's Mail start for him. Cyanide actually forced away from his jungle there, did get the last hit on that small golem. Fnatic finally replying though as they see the duo go top lane. They are going to be taking their first turret of the game here, down on the bottom side of the map.
So that'll even up the gold a little bit, but you can see my Alliance's movements. They've set their targets on Peke. Peke does have his flash. Luckily for Fnatic, there's a bunch of wards in their jungle. Numerous pings being thrown down. So Fnatic back off. Alliance, with that single sweeper's lens in the hands of Nif, he's already doing a good job of clearing out some of those wards. And I think Alliance, now that they've got both of those outer turrets down in the top and bottom lane, they're most likely to group up in middle, try to challenge until Dragon, or try to chain them together, Tower and Dragon, and extend that gold lead even further.
If we look down the jungle items right now, I think the more interesting one we see that both of them actually going in there with a bit of damage as well. Both of them got that brutalizer in there at this stage of the game, so they're relying on both those junglers to help out on the damage front as well.
What that also means is that both of these teams are very squishy right now. Yes, you do have some tanky stats in Soaz in the top lane, but that's really it. A Warden's Mail and the makings of Trinity Force means Wicked is going to be relying on proper positioning and the damage from Karthus and Wukong to help him close fights out. The longer the fight goes, the more difficult it's going to be for any of these carries to stay alive.
And speaking of items, we can compare the mid laners at this point as well. That Rod of Ages, which caught us off surprise, and obviously Reckless as well as he got that first kill down the bottom in there from earlier on. And now that Archangel stacked for Froggen, stacking that one up. On the other side, Athene's Unholy Grail is all that Peke has. He's now slowly but surely fell behind in farm to that of Froggen, and also is not matching him in terms of kills and assists.
No, definitely not. And I think that's a very scary sign when you consider that Karthus' damage is basically always going to happen. Yes, you can kill him in a fight, but then he just sits there in his passive Death Defied, gets a couple extra seconds to lay waste and use Defile, and then gets the channel on his Requiem. The question is, can Alliance position themselves effectively enough to make use of it? Fnatic responded to the bottom lane push by sending Reckless top, and they've got most of their team in the bottom getting ready for a dragon fight as Peck is the target.
Oh, they're going in towards Peck. He's at half HP from this one. Are they going to go for that Requiem here? No, they're quite happy with the turret. They're going to force Fnatic off that one. That's all 3 outer turrets gone here from Alliance, and look at the timing on it as well. Dragon, 5 seconds to go. Alliance are right in position.
Turret, then Dragon. Alliance signaled this 2 minutes ago. The way they moved around the map, the fact that they put Tabs and Nif in the middle lane and strung together a bunch of wards on Fnatic's side of the river. Alliance executed it perfectly, and I don't know if Fnatic were anticipating it. I mean, they must have. Reckless was split pushing top. You did have Cyanide relatively close by, but could be Fnatic overestimating the power of that Grand Skyfall. Alliance with Fnatic rather with a decent steal, that's going to deny it from Frogger.
They've been spotted though there, and he's maybe going to rely on Yellow, so no, they can't get close enough to that one to even think about taking anyone out. There is a ward actually in the death push, which Nif catches with the sweeping lens, and that will go down. So that was a little bit of vision there that Fnatic will be denied.
So the next step now for Alliance, I think, is to grab a couple more sweeping lenses, have 2 or 3 on your side, then get some deep vision on Fnatic's jungle, potentially challenge for blues, or even the reds in this case. And then Alliance can start picking fights as they want to. Because their team does very, very well in confined spaces, that'll work out. This, however, is completely unexpected, and I think they're a little too low level and not tanky enough to survive.
Ward actually came over there as well from Reckless, and that's what made them think twice about that one. But I mentioned it earlier, the fact that Karthus, we saw it so often, mostly during Season 2, obviously a bit in Season 3 as well, that Karthus, especially with the blue wolf on, just sits inside that Baron pit and they take it down so quickly. Fnatic, of course, know this one, and that's the biggest reason for them at this point, that they need to keep vision of that and not lose out on an early Baron.
Now, I don't think Alliance need to force that Baron. At this point in time, they've only got a small gold lead, but they've had better rotations around the map. They've got 3 towers to 2, and generally it's been Alliance making a play and Fnatic responding with the best case scenario. Now, if Alliance can actually start denying vision from Fnatic, you can force Fnatic's hand. They've done the bait once, get ward control and vision control, then do a second bait where you can jump on Fnatic and grab some kills.
Yellow start just patrolling that top side of the map there just to make sure that no one really comes into that area. And he can sweep out all the vision. We've just seen him actually throwing down there, even spotting a ward put down next to his, so he'll be able to clear that out a little bit later if they so wish. Right now, though, the target's got to be that middle turret. If you look how low it is, just a couple of auto attacks from Peke will take that one down.
Now, we see what Fnatic are doing. They decided not to challenge for the tower right now. They've actually backed away. And I think partially because of the fact they don't have the greatest jungle vision from Alliance, on Alliance's jungle. So Fnatic gonna back away. That's a good distance. That's a flash from Shook.
Oh, this is bad news for Peke. There's a wild growth actually coming down there in the second knockup. Now it's Yellow Star that's in trouble. Half of his health shredded away from him. He'll flash over the wall. Have they got anything to follow? They did have flashes to follow up, but they decided not to follow in there with Cyanide actually patrolling on the top side. Well, they may be able to bully him completely off this tower.
The damage was done. Alliance didn't need to chase for the kill because Yellow Star can't defend. He's got no flash, no ultimate, no engage. And this allows Alliance to grab another objective. That was an instant initiation from Shook. He was not afraid to pull the trigger. And they're not stopping Alliance on the turret.
Fnatic have to wake up to this one. Soaz has come around the back, but they're losing that inhibitor turret. Alliance making such a big positional play. Did Fnatic maybe make a positional problem for themselves in that one? I think that was definitely part of it.
Alliance are not waiting. I thought that Alliance were going to play a little bit more patient, allow that Irelia to get items and Froggen's Karthus to scale up. Alliance decide that they don't need to because you've got the Rod of Ages and that Archangel, plus the initiation power of Wukong. It allowed Alliance to get some very good engages. They're not done yet. That's a great wall of pain.
That's a massive wall of pain coming in. The shockwave went down in the back. Froggen's going to die here, but he's still got that Requiem available. And here he comes. Is he going to be able to mop up them all? Oh, he is going to be able to. So many kills coming down. A double kill in the end coming out for Shook. And that is an ace. And I tell you what, there's no inhibitor going to be left there in just a second. 25 seconds on this one. Have they got the damage to finish it here?
I don't think there's enough minions for them to work this out right now, but that is a brilliant play from Alliance. They've mitigated that middle game lack of power by using a great on the hunt from Siva. She throws her ultimate down, gets Wukong and Karthus to dive all the way into the fight, and Froggen, saving his flash from killing Yellowstar earlier, got into a great position, got to file down on so many members of Fnatic. Take a look at this, the Shockwave. Yes, it held Wicked in it back for a little bit, but they weren't the threat. Tabs is under no pressure at all. Nobody's jumping onto him. Soaz is doing the best he can to deal damage to the carries diving his backline, but he just doesn't have the tools, the damage, or the ability to hold Alliance back. And that was a great engage from Alliance.
Gonna have to do that at least one more time here, but to be honest, those kind of all-in fights really suit the combo that they've got right now. And after that one, we see a few more items coming in. We see for both the top laner and the jungler there, the workings of that randomins. Obviously, the Trinity Force was done earlier for Wicked. We've got a Void Staff now in there for Froggen on Karthus as well. The AD carried not only the Bloodthirster, but a Zeal and a second BF sword in as well. So Alliance are in a great position right now, and this is not looking good for Fnatic.
It's definitely not. You go back to picks and bans, and you think the Karthus was let through. Karthus was banned both times last week against Alliance, and if that Karthus was removed from the table, those types of engages would be significantly harder. They didn't have all that AoE. Now Alliance playing this one very, very smart. They're forcing Fnatic out of the jungle. They get vision control by the blue buff, and now they're going to peel back to the dragon. It's going to respawn in 5 seconds time. It looked like Shook grabbed himself that blue buff as well, so it just means Alliance going to get even more gold. Wicked is even recalling. Yeah, he does. That confident, they don't even need the whole team.
Don't even need Wicked there. They've got vision of the entire Fnatic team as they started to move through there, except on this side of the map where Reckless, all on his own in the enemy jungle, stealing away the blue buff. That's the second time in a row, actually, that has happened from Fnatic's side. And while it's all well and good picking up a blue buff here and there, they need more than that at this point. If we look at the gold, it's stretching to almost a 6,000 lead at this point for Alliance, and they are getting so very strong right now. Tabs has got another 1,700 gold to go home and spend. Whether that goes into the Zeal item or into another BF sword item, we'll see in a while.
I would imagine if that would be the static shift. I think at this point in time, Alliance don't necessarily have the most amazing wave clear. They've got long range and lay waste, and they do have a lot of bouncing damage from Tabs, but it's going to need a little extra oomph to instantly wipe that wave out. So static shift would be the most natural progression. In terms of the rest of the items, you've already highlighted the fact that the Void Staff was picked up by Froggen. He's already completed that Archangel into a Seraph's Embrace, and that is a very scary Karthus. He's basically at the power peak he needs to be, and there's no MR really on the side of Fnatic. You've got a tiny bit from Athenians, you've got a mostly armored Soaz, and Reckless, he's going to get melted. There's no magic resist there in his items just yet.
Oh, Yellowstar getting caught out here by the Wall of Pain, has to pop his ultimate, but here comes the chase, the slow not quite landing there, and they will be able to back off from that one. But that's the other scary thing about this Alliance team, that they've got such a great chasing team with that Sivir ultimate in there.
And, of course, when you add in the slows from Lulu, the slow from that Wall of Pain, there's a lot of soft CC that combines very, very well. The moment people get hit by a 2 or a 3-man Wall of Pain from Froggen, you instantly see Shook engaging with that Flash Cyclone. He's got Flash available, he's got Cyclone available, and if Fnatic get a little overextended, Alliance will just pull the trigger again. They've done it every single time they've fought this game.
And Alliance are just going to make plays around that Baron buff now for sure. They know that they can fight Fnatic. They've aced them once already. They also know on the other side that if Fnatic don't challenge for Baron, that they can kill it very, very quickly. And they're trying to set up a trap here and there. They're actually out of vision right now from Fnatic, who are going to have to keep putting those wards in on the backside. So they know that they are around that Baron buff area still. And we're going to have that little tug of war as the mid-wave gets pushed in and out by both teams.
And this is a terrifying team to try and face check against. If you're Fnatic, you really do not want to be in this position where you need to be going into a Karthus and Wukong. If they group up at all, you'll just see Alliance jumping on them. And we do see those 2 sweeping lenses for Alliance. They're getting a number of wards down in Fnatic's jungle. And we talked about how Alliance have this tool available to them. You can force Fnatic to come to you, and they are finally doing it. We'll see how Fnatic handle it. They've got no real vision. Nif and Shook are just waiting on the side. Cyclone's available as well.
see how scared they are there. Cyanide kind of walking forward and backwards. Yellowstar had the ball on his head right there. That's some good damage down on towards Shook and Nip, but they've caught Soaz out here. Wall of Pain going to go down. I'm not sure that Soaz will be able to escape this one as he pops his dominance. He's going to flash away as well. He's doing nothing really but buying time for his team, but I also say buying time really for what here? He is going to fall finally for Wicked, and the rest of his team, all they've really done is gain more control of that mid by pushing the wave out a little bit.
All what Fnatic would have needed to have done has caught out members of Alliance. If they could have traded 1-for-1 in that situation, it could have allowed Fnatic to potentially challenge this Baron. Now, because Fnatic are behind, they may have to challenge this anyway. They simply cannot give up a Baron uncontested. Cyanide has the opportunity to steal, but this is going to be very, very difficult. Froggen is peeling on the side.
Oh, they're going to go straight in there. Is actually the kill on towards Froggen. He's going to have to put down an early Requiem this time, but he's going to do it anyway. I'm not sure he's going to pick up kills on its own, but they'll be able to surely mop up afterwards as Wicked gets the slow. Yellowstar headbutts him straight back out of there, and in the end, Alliance lose Froggen. Fnatic get a 1-for-0. That wasn't bad for them at all.
That was phenomenal play from Yellowstar and from Xpeke. Yellowstar realized that Froggen was in the bush. He jumped in. There was a Fnatic ward in there. So he manages to catch Froggen, interrupts any of the spellcasts super early on. Then as Froggen was moving forward to the Fnatic team, the shockwave from Peke kept him out as well. And thanks to Fnatic having a lot of damage early on and surviving Requiem, they got away. I did not anticipate them getting away with the engage in that situation, but they made it work.
And that's almost, you know, having the Requiem there to finish off is one thing. Whether they're able to actually put down the Requiem and finish off afterwards is a different thing. We just saw there they didn't quite have that, the chase ability, let's call it, to get in there and track Fnatic down to finish things off. Peke is going to get a blue buff here, which will help him out in the grand scheme of things. If you look at their overall totals right now, it's still around 6,000 gold, which is, it's been sat up for quite a while now, this game.
It's still a manageable gold lead if Fnatic don't give up more objectives. Because Fnatic are 5 towers down, in order for Alliance to gain more ground, they really have to, you know, pull a Baron stunt like they have been doing, or they need to overextend into Fnatic's territory. And as you've seen in that previous team fight, if Fnatic get the ingredients right, they can win fights. So Alliance need to be a little bit careful. They've still got a commanding lead, please don't misunderstand. But Fnatic do have the tools available to win a fight if they catch Alliance unprepared.
And a couple of big items coming in on that last trip home, actually, for Alliance. The Infinity Edge added in by Tabs on Sivir, and also we saw the Randuin's Omen. That was slightly before there for Wicked, picking that one up. On the other side, though, we have seen a Void Staff now added in for Peke, on top of his Rabadon's Death Cap and Athene's Unholy Grail. So
there's a lot of damage there for Peke to work with, and if you look at the magic resist over on the side of Alliance, Shook does not have any MR items just yet. There's no MR for Froggen. He's going to be relying on that shield and the HP from his Rod of Ages to keep him alive. So Fnatic can melt them quite quickly if they can get to them. We see Tabs, he did not go for the static shiv that I thought he was going to go for earlier. Instead, saved all of that money, grabbed himself an Infinity Edge. So we may actually see him going for maybe even a Phantom Dancer to upgrade that. The opportunity is available to him, but if Tabs just continually right-clicks down members of Fnatic, that's a lot of damage to deal with.
Alliance playing the same game that they have for the last 10 minutes, let's call it at least, and that is keep control of the top side of this Fnatic jungle. And kind of the deeper that they go inside and clear out wards, the harder it's going to be for Fnatic to take the risks of phase checking into those brushes. And that's something that they really need to get a grasp of here, because Alliance have got, again, full control, and we see what they're doing. Yeah, 3 sweeping lenses on the side of Alliance. They're pretty confident in the vision control that they have right now. You see Fnatic have put a pink ward down in the brush, so they know Alliance can't see them exactly in there. And this game is going to all be about vision. That's it. Whichever team makes a mistake going into the fog of war is going to lose the next objective. And I think Fnatic cannot run the risk of getting caught out. Peke is alone in the mid lane. He's just trying to shove the minions out. And you just see these wards, counter wards, wards, counter wards. This will carry on until somebody is a little bit out of position. Maybe it's going to be Nif. Oh, Nif a little bit sandwiched, but is he really? Wall of Pain's come down. Soaz's going to get focused. He's already popped his ultimate. Mandrop's going to come across here. Where's the focus going in? Look at Froggen. He's in the middle of the team. This is surely disastrous for Fnatic. The shockwave does come down, and Froggen flashed over the wall. Where is the Requiem? He's going to clean house here from this one. Yellowstar is already within range of going down. He headbutts back. Well, that's 4 men down around here. Reckless almost went. He survived and he's going to go back to heal. Alliance turn for Baron. They only lost Froggen.
Fnatic should not have chased that one. There was no dice available from Soaz. He used the slice to try catch up to Nif. Nif was able to get the movement speed to back away, and unfortunately for Soaz, a wall of pain landed in his face. It allowed Alliance to chase down, and even though there was a pretty good shockwave from Peke over the wall, Fnatic did relatively well fighting in those confined spaces. Alliance did much better. If you look at the HP bars, they got 4 kills, a Baron, and they come out so much further ahead. The key thing to look for here is how Peke comes in from the side. That's a 3-man knocker from Yellowstar. It didn't really matter. Yes, Yellowstar held them backwards, and here comes Peke with that shockwave over the wall, catching Wicked, Shook, Froggen. That's actually a 4-man. Shook was the only one that was a little bit further forward. The problem is, Froggen instantly flashes over the wall, and because the damage is built up, nobody could deal with it.
And a dead Karthus, although it's possibly the best kind of Karthus, is still a not quite dead Karthus, because he can still throw down that Requiem, which right now is doing an absolute ton of damage. Got the Rabadons now added in with the Void Staff, the Rod of Ages, and that Seraph's Embrace. Alliance have a 10,000 gold lead. They've got the Baron buff on. That inhibitor has now respawned in there in that mid lane, so that's the next thing for them to pick up. Will it be enough here to finish off? Think about even finishing off the game. Alliance
have 2 Guardian Angels in addition to all of the other advantages they've just gained. So now Alliance can just brute force their way into towers. If they want to tower dive, if they want to force a fight, Fnatic cannot deal with the regen that is offered from the Baron buff, and they have to kill Alliance 7 times if they want to get to those GAs and win a team fight. This is now all in Alliance. They can now dictate the flow of the game. You can see them pushing top. You even see Wicked split pushing bottom because he's had teleport as well, so he can even join a fight if he needs to.
And Cyanide, whilst he's possibly the man to go down there because of the Grand Skyfall, it's not going to bring him back in. In fact, they're just going to go for the fight here. They dive in, but they've knocked Froggen right back into the rest of the team. He's actually going to go down. It took them a little while. He does have Requiem. Requiem's just come off cooldown, and they're going to do it once again. Only 2 men left here for Fnatic. They're going to be pulling slowly but surely, flashing from tabs to keep going. Soaz is going to walk off towards the bottom side, but Alliance have some super minions coming up the mid lane at this point. They may go for the win.
This is definitely game. With tabs having so much time and the minions pushing up, they should be able to take this Nexus down. You see Peke, the goal for Fnatic in my mind was to kill Froggen, burst him down, get rid of him quickly. Peke never got to use his shockwave. It wasn't even cast in that fight. So as the last man standing for Fnatic, Wicked completely disregards him. He's on the Nexus turret, and the rest of Alliance should clean up.
It looks like there are 3 men there, but 2 of them have got GAs on, so even if they die to the turret hits or 2, Soaz, one of them is not even going to do here. It doesn't matter. Alliance going to go in there, take down the Nexus turrets, and keep up their miserable run here from Fnatic and for Alliance, proving that odd weeks aren't always bad.
Alliance broke the curse last week. They lost a game in an even week. Now they've won a game in an odd number week. Finally, trying to get some mix and match in their performance. This was a very good game from them. I was baited into expecting a slower lane phase, and they just never, ever went there. They had hard engages, Shook fought up Fnatic many times, and that was a very good performance from the team.
Incredibly well done there. And, well, you have to wonder for Fnatic, the start wasn't all that terrible for them. It looked quite comfortable in ways. The brilliant play that they did down in the bottom lane with Cyanide coming in for the gank with the slow and calculated CC chain from Yellowstar to get in there behind them. And, well, in the end, just not enough. And we have to say, it goes right back to picks and bans here, Potter.